Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this presentation. My name is David Lombardi, and tonight it is my pleasure and privilege to share with you the story of Neumi, the company where I hold the position of two-star. I am a coach, influencer, and entrepreneur, and I have been in this industry for over 25 years. My task today as a speaker is to provide you with information about the world of Neumi in the most professional and appropriate way possible, so that you can make the right decisions for yourselves and for your families. Whatever decision you make is your own decision. We as leaders must simply ensure that we have done our job in providing you with this information. In summary, this evening I will talk to you a bit about the history of Neumi, the people who lead it behind the scenes, and the products for end consumers, which are truly incredible for those who want to improve their appearance and the length of their lives. So let's start with the story first of all. The story of Neumi is very important because, as I often say, whenever people approach new technologies, new products, or new companies, before investing their energy, time, and of course their money, they want to be sure that the business will last. There are many companies that open every day, and while it's great to be pioneers, history has shown us that in the first 5 years, the failure rate of these new companies exceeds 90%. So, 4 to 5 years is the minimum period to consider in order to evaluate a company with peace of mind and confidence. Furthermore, you know that all companies, at least startups, usually go through 3 phases. At first they ignore you, then they fight you, and finally they respect you. And so we can say that after a period of 5 years, a company starts to be respected. It has changed managers in search of the right people in the right positions, or it has changed its compensation plan, made all the necessary internal adjustments, and is ready to conquer the rest of the world at lightning speed. And Neumi was founded 4 years ago in July 2021, exactly within the 4 to 5 year time frame. In reality, the technology and the first steps were initiated in 2018 by the founder, together with a team of leading scientists in the industry, and Neumi too had to face its own challenges. But today, Neumi is a secure, established company that, as mentioned before, has been on the market for more than 4 years, with exponentially growing revenues, as you can see here. As shown on the slide, over 36 million last year, achieved with just 3 products compared to the 5 this year, with an average growth trend of over 100% year over year, for a total of 550% since its inception over these 4 years, compared to the 2 million in revenue from the first year. And as you can see from this slide, the company is already present in 74 countries. In fact, as of today, it's 75, and it's incredible for a product-based company to have entered so many countries in such a short time. And there are 24 distribution centers with locations around the world, and many more are in the process of opening, considering that last year was a record-breaking year, but this year will very likely set a new record. 200,000 members worldwide, and just think, it's still almost unknown in Europe because it only entered our continent about a year ago. And in Italy, we are the very first. And as you can see, it is also one of the top 5 fastest growing companies on the move. And this also represents a huge business opportunity for anyone who wants to consider the economic side, which we will discuss in a dedicated evening event. So the company is neither so young as to be at risk like a startup, nor so old as to already be internationally known, and it's not often that you find these 2 factors together. Now, the second component, when analyzed in practice, is the people who manage the business behind the scenes. Here you can see the founder of Neumi, Stephen Scott, a successful yet highly ethical entrepreneur who has dedicated his life to health and beauty. As you can see in this slide, he has generated $4 billion in sales revenue and was a leader in home gym sales in the 70s and 80s, back when the concept of working out at home didn't even exist. Here you can see him with Cher at the bottom, Chuck Norris, Michael Landon, and even Larry King Shaw. Just to name a few, he practically invented the concept of the influencer. Before him, there were no celebrities promoting products. Everything was based on advertisements focused on the technical features of products launched by companies. A highly successful person who had retired and certainly didn't need to come back, but who did return after discovering what he calls the most important discovery of his life. And then we have our CEO and President, Aaron Rennert, one of our executives with extensive experience in the biotechnology sector and in the development of innovative nutritional solutions. And these are two of the people, the company's executives. Of course, there are many more working behind the scenes. But now let's take a look at the advisory board, the Medical and Scientific Advisory Committee of Neumi, doctors who offer their services on a voluntary basis, without any compensation, driven by their belief in Neumi's revolutionary technology, a technology that is a real game changer. We'll see this in just a moment. In these slides that we will quickly go through, you can see the incredible scientific and medical committee of GNUMI, a first-class board that has no equal in the wellness industry. We're talking about experts in the fields of genetics, anti-aging medicine, integrative medicine, and metabolic medicine, cardiology, chiropractic doctors, and surgeons. All these people have incredible success stories, have worked for the most prestigious universities in the world, such as Harvard and other world-class institutions, and have been founders and CEOs of companies worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Today, there won't be enough time to describe all these individuals in detail, but I encourage you right now to do your own research online and check their resumes on LinkedIn and Google, or go directly to Google on the website neumi.com. But it's not just the members of the scientific committee, also those on the operational side. To ensure that the vision became reality, over the years, Neumi has brought in the right people in the right positions. And of course, this is only a small part of the people involved behind the scenes. And once you have the company, which, as we said, is the first component, and the right people behind the scenes, the second component, the third component when analyzing a business, is to understand what the reference industry is and what service is being offered to the customer. This is important if you want to ultimately have a generational business that can be passed down to future generations and to the children of your children. We are in the wellness and longevity industry, a sector experiencing explosive growth. You can see it here, but we also hear about it constantly in the news, on our AI, TV, radio, magazines. It's an industry that doesn't know crisis, having doubled from nearly 20 billion to 40 billion this year, with an average growth of 15% year over year. While other sectors are declining, we have seen that all treatments aimed at extending life and improving physical appearance are booming. And this growth is incredible. It's only the beginning, so this is a great time to enter this sector. And there are mainly three reasons behind this boom. The first is that people want to have a better image. We know nowadays, unfortunately, that these are the foundations for having a better career at work and also a better public image. Then, to improve one's vitality, energy, also to boost self-esteem, and of course, to live longer. And Neumi products meet all three of these needs. So let's start with the foundations, which are the basis of our business, because as we'll see in a moment, there's much, much more. First of all, let's take a look at what Neumi does and what its mission is. And Neumi's mission is to revolutionize people's health and well-being through the most advanced technologies, with an exclusive patent called Hydrastat, a unique patented technology with no competition. This technology was created to address a problem in the world of oral supplements that still hasn't been solved. Studies, as you can see here, show that up to 90% of oral supplements are not fully absorbed by the body. This means that only a fraction of the nutrients actually reach the cells where they are needed. So, I often use this example. Imagine it's like going to a restaurant, ordering a whole range of dishes, but out of everything you've ordered, out of 100%, you can only eat 30%. The rest you can't eat. Or say you buy a house and you can only use it to sleep in 30% of the time. Obviously, no one would like that. This is a problem that has been solved with the patented Hydrastat technology, which, through nanotechnology, is able to reduce the size of supplement molecules into extremely tiny parts, from 10 to 100 nanometers. Here at the bottom, you can see our system, that little dot there, then the human cell, and then the other supplements. Just think, if you draw a line on a blank sheet of paper with a pen, that line is 1 millimeter. To think in terms of nanometers, imagine 1 millionth of that line. So it's truly an incredible reduction. And this is so that they can enter the pores of the cells without losing 80 to 90% of the active ingredients. We know that cells have pores of about 10 nanometers essentially, and so this allows for easy entry, even bypassing gastric juices and the digestive system, which are the number one enemy of all the vitamins and supplements we take for our well-being. A technology that allows cells to quickly absorb the delivered substances, because as you can see from the animation, our cells can only absorb the part of a molecule they can come into contact with. You can see this animation with the blue sphere trying to enter the human cell, which you see on the right. It can't get in because it's much too large, but if we break it down into infinite parts, you can see that it enters much more quickly. So the surface area for absorption is divided into hundreds of parts. It increases significantly by more than 200 times. Imagine how this works. Our founder often uses this example. If you have an ice cube and you put it in a glass of water, it takes some time to melt. But imagine instead if you break it up and divide it into more than 200 pieces. It melts much, much faster. And consider that in just 7 seconds, it reaches the bloodstream, and in 40 to 50 seconds, it's already in your cells, bypassing the digestive tract. Nanotechnology will definitely be the future and the main vehicle for delivering supplements and medicines in the coming decades, and we already have this technology. The molecules are encapsulated in ultra-pure water, even purer than the water used in IV drips and microchips, which represents the highest level of purity. If you want to interact with our body and especially with our cells, you need to communicate through water or oxygen. Water does not contain the potential toxicity of lipids. There is no need to take breaks when using the Neumi supplement. And here you can see the hydrostat technology process summarized in 3 steps. The first step is to reduce the size to between 10 and 1000 nanometers. Next, as we mentioned, the air contact surface is increased by more than 200 times, and then everything is delivered, encapsulated in ultra-pure water. Now that we are able to deliver substances directly into our cells with this game-changing technology, let's talk about tonight's star, the miraculous molecule glutathione, the king of antioxidants, or rather, the king of longevity, which brings us into the field of epigenetics. Glutathione is the protector and detoxifier of cells. It is the key to the life, health, performance, protection, and longevity of every human cell. It also recycles itself to increase the effectiveness of other antioxidants like vitamin C, D, and so on. Glutathione is one of the most studied molecules ever, with over 196,000 publications in PubMed, which is the scientific repository where all studies are published. So just think, compared to vitamin C, it has more than double the studies. Vitamin C has about 80,000 studies, and then vitamin D, I believe, has about 100,000. So more than double the most well-known vitamins. But what is the reason why this vitamin is not well-known? Precisely because it was difficult to absorb and was lost in the human body, so you always had to resort to bothersome injections or IV drips. But today, thanks to Neumi's technology, we have the solution. What do the leading doctors worldwide have to say? Dr. Mehmet Oz, a very famous surgeon and also a TV commentator, go check out his resume online. It's impressive in America. He often appears on many shows, and he says that the most powerful antioxidant you've never heard of is one of the keys to fighting the diseases you fear most. It's called glutathione. Now make a note of it because it's vitally important. Furthermore, Dr. David Katz says that if you are chronically exhausted, if you are chronically fatigued, if your body isn't functioning at full capacity, a glutathione deficiency could be both the cause and the effect. This is the trend of glutathione over time. At the top right of the graph, you can see that dark blue line. Up until the age of 20 to 25, it's at its peak, but unfortunately, with each decade, it declines by about 10%. So, by the age of 50 to 60, we have about half the glutathione compared to our children. On the other hand, you can see oxidative stress over the years increases exponentially, which in turn accelerates the shortening phase of telomeres, which we will discuss later in the following slides. So, the continuous attacks on cells by toxins, heavy metals, and exposure to free radicals cause damage and accelerate the aging process. High levels of glutathione obviously reduce trauma, while low levels instead lead to traumas such as wounds, infections, and diseases. Here, this graphic shows what happens to our telomeres. You know that inside the cells there are chromosomes. This is an example with chromosome AX, and at the ends of the chromosomes there are telomeres. These caps at the ends, there are 4 of them. You can see them in orange, and these telomeres are very long. They're longer when we're young. But as we age, you see they get shorter until they disappear. And just think, the person who made this discovery won the Nobel Prize. So, by looking at the length of our telomeres, it's possible to predict exactly how much time we have left to live. And just think, glutathione regulates over 400 processes in our body. That's why it's so important, 15 of which are vital And one of these is precisely transporting oxygen to the cells. Just think, without glutathione, we could only survive for a few seconds, whereas without drinking, we can survive for a few days, 2, 3, maybe even 4 days. Without eating, we could last 2 or 3 weeks, but without glutathione, it's simply impossible. The cells would die instantly. This is another slide that shows the decay, the shortening of telomeres over the course of aging, and obviously when we reach zero, it means we no longer have any space left for life. And now let's look at the 3 levels of dietary supplementation. When we talk about supplements on the market, the first basic level is to energize our cells, and here we have vitamin C, D, KB, amino acids, centrum, and so on. Even though, as we've seen, they are delivered in a way that means very little is actually retained. Then, at a higher level, in the middle, there are a whole range of superfoods, super nutrients like spirulina, zinc, proteins, fish oil, and so on, to restore our cells. But above all, at the very top, there is epigenetics, shaping the quality of our cells. And this is exactly the field we are in. The lack of glutathione, let's look at both the benefits and what happens when we have low levels of glutathione. As you can see on the left, all these problems: weakened immune system, physical and mental fatigue, pain, weakness, inflammation, dull or dry skin, gray hair, and so on, headaches, digestive issues, allergies, and more. On the other hand, high levels of glutathione obviously mean the opposite: a strengthened immune system, peak mental energy, optimal athletic performance, delayed aging, brighter and healthier skin, and so on. These are certain diseases that develop when we lack glutathione. I'll leave them on the screen for a few seconds so you can all see them. Obviously, since we are not currently approved by the AIFA, we cannot say that it helps cure diseases as it is a supplement. But we can say the opposite, that is what the lack of glutathione in the cells causes. And now let's take a look at the composition of Hydrastat products. First of all, the AIFA disclaimer. The following statements have not been evaluated by AIFA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Here you can see our products on display, and these products were created to address specific issues, which we will now review together. First issue: glutathione decreases with age and environmental factors, as we've seen, leaving no practical way for it to enter the cells. If not through these methods, as we mentioned, unfortunately, invasive injections or infusions, which are also quite expensive, costing around 120 to 150 euros each, are required. Their effects typically last only a few days. For example, if you get one on Sunday, by Wednesday you're at your peak, but then the benefits start to decline, so by Friday and the weekend you're back to zero. This means you constantly need to repeat the treatment. And this is where our very first flagship product, NutriSwish, comes to the rescue. By using Hydrastat technology to reduce glutathione to nanometric dimensions, something that had never been done before, and also including L-cysteine, which is also delivered at the nano level, along with curcumin and many other nutrients, this product allows users to experience these benefits with just one capful a day of NutriSwish. Immune system boost, enhanced immune function, joint support, pure and sustained energy, and rapid recovery. Another major issue: skincare products. Rarely do these products, I'm referring to creams and similar items, go beyond the first layer of the skin, which makes it necessary to use many products and frequent applications. Usually these products are also complex, ineffective, expensive, and often contain harmful ingredients. And this is where Neumi Skin comes to the rescue. Skin stands for skin, and so, using the same Hydrastat technology, Neumi delivers glutathione at the nano level to our skin. Not only that, but also hyaluronic acid, curcumin, collagen, and other ingredients that are essential for our skin in order to nourish it. We also have some before and after photos, but I'll also turn on the camera so I can show you. Even I myself have seen tremendous improvements in a very short time. And this is what has made our product a globally sought-after item. In fact, it helps reduce wrinkles and pore size and improves skin texture. It lifts and tones, brightens and evens out skin tone and fights against aging factors. Another problem is that often in a society like ours, where we are forced to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, we are always tired, we suffer from chronic fatigue, we lack energy, and to find a solution to this lack of energy, we often turn to harmful stimulants. I won't name any names this evening, but you know what I mean. Those energy drinks that have a lot of side effects and substances that aren't good for the human body. And this is where Neuro comes in, which is an incredible product for maximizing the absorption and effectiveness of ingredients like arginine, magnesium gluconate, eleuthero, caffeine, and other nutrients that provide incredible vitality and energy. They improve neural connections, give you incredible mental clarity, so your memory is enhanced, your mood is improved, your concentration increases, and you get a quick boost of energy that's immediately available as well as enhanced cognitive performance. Another issue, the fourth and last one for us Europeans, because there's another product in America that's still not available here yet, which is specifically for women. But anyway, the last problem we'll be addressing tonight is the problem of hair. All of us constantly deal with issues like hair loss, dry scalp, dandruff, thinning, and other problems. And these are always caused by both environmental factors, so external oxidative stress, but also by hormonal changes or improper treatments. And this is where Neumi comes to the rescue, and it's for hair, which is a revolutionary formula with products that are specifically designed for the scalp. But for the first time, it is possible to deliver nanoglutathione directly to the hair follicles. And this leads to stronger hair, a healthier scalp, hydration and softness, heat protection, and increased hair density. Not only that, just think that at the end of last week, Neumi received approval from TrueShield, this American certification, which is equivalent to ISO 17025, meaning that it has been tested and has passed rigorous tests for over 400 banned substances, including anabolic steroids, stimulants, SAR, MS, diuretics, heavy metals, and so on. The certification ensures proactive monitoring, especially for prohibited substances, even the new ones, particularly for athletes and military personnel, so it gives a great sense of trust. Another thing, all of us can download an app, for example, on our phones, that app where you can see the toxicity of products in supermarkets. It's very rare to find products that score 100%. Normally, for example, if you check Coca-Cola, on a scale from 1 to 10, it gets a rating of 2, where 10 is the highest. Then other products score 4, 5, 6, 7. Just think, when you scan our Neumi skin, it comes up as 100%. That is the top score. It's extremely rare to find products with such purity of ingredients. The feedback has been incredible. This one is from Australia, from a 24-year-old gym manager and trainer. By the third week, he said that his recovery after workouts was already amazing. After every session, he felt fresh with no soreness from previous sessions. Thank you. And to reach his personal records before the competition, months in advance. And in the fourth week, as you can see, he kept improving and achieved even more records, including deadlifting 270 kilograms for 2 reps for the first time. And these are incredible transformations from the Neumi skin product from Indonesia. Before using Neumi, my skin was dull and rough, but after just 17 days, my skin became radiant, soft, and clear. I feel stronger and more enthusiastic because after using NutriSwish, I started sleeping much more deeply. So NutriSwish is the one for internal use, as we've seen, and for external use, the results speak for themselves. And here is another before and after. This is an 80-year-old woman from Nigeria. She sprayed it on her face 3 or 4 times for 4 weeks, just like I am doing, and you can see her results here. They are amazing. You can notice her skin tone is much more even, and this is after just 4 weeks. And here are more transformations after 8 weeks from the United States. You can see it, amazing results. Look at the difference, the rejuvenation of the skin on the neck. This is another incredible transformation. This lady was one of the very first people to use Neumi skin. She's been using it for about 3 years. But if you compare her with the photo from 6 years earlier, you can see 2018 to 2024. She looks like her own sister, and now she's 62 years old. And here's another lady, 87 years old, after 7 weeks of application. Look at these results on her skin. And if we look at her now, several months have passed, she truly looks 30 years younger. And here's another case. We also have the first cases involving hair. You can see the before and after 5 months and the before and after just 2 weeks, spraying it 4 to 5 times a day. So really applying it a lot. And here are some other cases. This is our double diamond. You can see 3 months. And now we come to the heart of tonight's episode, which is the difference between chronological age and biological age. We all have an age recorded on our birth certificate, which is our chronological age. Very often we see people who are 50 or 60 years old but already look 70. Other times, on the contrary, we see 60-year-olds who look 40 or 50. And this is not just in terms of appearance, but also in terms of energy. This is what we call biological age. So on one hand, there is chronological age, which cannot be changed. On the other hand, there is biological age, and that's where Neumi comes in. And the winning choice, we often compare it to the launch of the iPhone, as you can see here. Before the iPhone, there were already huge, well-established companies. Apple was by no means the first to launch phones. In fact, they were almost the last to arrive. Before them, there were giants like BlackBerry and Nokia, which held up to 70% of the market, as well as Sony, Ericsson, and so on. But then the new touch technology arrived, and now those companies on the left no longer exist. So it's extremely important to use technology, especially revolutionary technologies that change the paradigm, just like Neumi is doing. And so it's important to have a strategy rather than the red ocean strategy where there are many companies competing to gain market share, which means they end up dividing small slices of the same pie and are forced to perform miracles just to generate profits. Instead, the blue ocean strategy is about being in new unexplored markets where competition is practically non-existent and where you can really push innovation. You see Neumi here. In English, it means a new me, so new you, a new you. So it's important for renewal, and before wrapping up and leaving space for questions and also a video, I want to share some final thoughts on what I've said so far, both about the company and the products. Instead of trying to convince customers to buy one or hundreds of products or supplements on the market, the approach that Neumi takes with the consumer is this. Become aware of this incredible and underrated molecule, glutathione, which is the most studied on PubMed as we've seen tonight. A molecule that our body produces and that unfortunately fades away with age, as we've seen, which leads us to aging and death, and about the incredible Hydrastat delivery technology, which is a game changer, allowing us to have this and other valuable components, like we've seen with collagen, hyaluronic acid, curcumin, and much more, instantly delivered into our cells in a matter of seconds. So do it with us. See if we can help you improve your life in a convenient way with an experience you'll enjoy. And if we succeed, then you can continue to buy from us. And if we don't, then you won't, because the choice is absolutely yours. But if you find it convenient, if you feel good, if you get results like all of us who are using it right now, do it with us. We will provide you with the best nutrients, with the best delivery for your cells, at the best price on the market, because just think, a single bottle. It costs $50 and lasts a month. $50 plus VAT, which is about 43 euros plus VAT. So the best of the best delivered to your home in a way you could never get if you went directly by yourself to the places you used to go, or even if you bought them online. And I say this also for those who are doing injections or infusions, so it's truly an incredible offer for the customer. And then, over time, Neumi has prepared a whole range of materials and brochures to make people's lives easier. All of this is included for free, including training and even business opportunities. We'll talk about that another evening for those who want to enter this sector with a proven system. We are a group where it doesn't matter who scores the goal is always scored by the team. And soon, the company will also come to Italy for the grand official opening of the Italian market with the founder. So now I hope you understand why we are truly in the right place at the right time, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the story of Neumi with you. It has been a privilege, a real pleasure. Now we'll play a short video of about a minute and then we'll start with the questions.